Good day, listeners from around the world. You are listening to the Wide World of Motorsports Podcast, bringing you the news from the track to your community. You could reach us on our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram at the THEWWOMS. We're also on Twitch, and now, as of this week, we are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So head on over there and subscribe. We are now in our third season, and we're trying to change some things up here. We are doing a podcast format as opposed to the old radio format this season, and hopefully enough, some radio stations will pick us up. So if you give us an email at thewideworldofmotorsports@gmail.com, we'd love to hear from you. And as well, listeners, make sure you give us some love on our new Facebook group, the Wide World of Motorsports group. You can go there, we'll chat, we'll talk, share whatever you think is cool, or what you don't like, what you like, whatever. Love to hear from you. Today's episode is recorded the week of August 16th, 2020, and this is episode number 8. Today on the show, we will talk about some of the stuff going on in the NASCAR series in the last few weeks, and we also have a special guest on today's show, LP Dumoulin of the number 47 in the NASCAR Pinty series. We're going to have him on the show in a little bit. We're going to talk to him about his win in the 2020 season opener of the NASCAR Pinty series. For some of you who don't know, it competes in Canada. It had its first race of the season this past weekend, which was postponed back in April due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The shortened season will have 3 doubleheaders with twin 125-mile races on the weekend of August 15th. There was 2 races held at Sunset Speedway. Then August 29th, there will be 2 races at Flamborough Speedway. And to end off the NASCAR Pinty Series Fan Cave Challenge will be 2 races at Jukasa Speedway on September 12th. There will be no Pinty Series champion or Rookie of the Year crowned in 2020 due to the shortened schedule. There is talk about like a special recognition for the overall winner of the short season. And these races will also be delayed onto TSN and RDS in Canada and MAV TV in the United States. And just check your local listings for that. Due to there being next to no media at the track, we were just kind of relying on the official Facebook page of the NASCAR Pinty Series and their videos. And once in a while they took some video, and it looked like it was definitely a banger fest for sure. The first race, it was apparently intense from the first flag. Everyone was rubbing up, and there was a lot of torn up race cars. And for the first time this season, I would like to finally welcome a race car driver to the show. I am here with the 2014 and 2018 NASCAR Pinty Series champion, LP Dumoulin, and he won this past weekend. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. About you guys?
We're good here. Beautiful day. Just enjoying it. The last few months, let's talk about here first. Give our audience your perspective of what you had to go through as a driver and someone who is a part of running a race team.
Yeah, it's been really challenging for us, for the race team as well as for the driver. I mean, it was a really hard time not knowing what we will be doing, and then we had to do some plans, and like a lot of people in a lot of sports or other business, we had to change our plans very often because of that situation. But we ended up having 3 races. I mean, actually 6 races within 3 weekends. So it's a relief. I mean, I know it's not exactly the way we want it. We would have loved to have the fans at the track because it's always awesome to have them with us to exchange, to talk about cars, talk about racing. They're all passionate about racing, and we are as well. So it's always great to have the fans at the track. But for this season, it's going to be different, as everything else is different in life right now. So we're at least happy to give a show, and that show can be on TV, so the fans can be entertained this season. And then I think we had a really good race last weekend. But I can tell you one thing: over those months we had, those past months, I can't thank enough my sponsor WeatherTech and Benmar as well for the help they gave me and the support they gave to us and the team, staying really strong beside us and helping us to go through that whole deal. So we were at Sunset last weekend, and we had a really good first race, and then the second race we had an engine blowing up. So it was challenging there as well.
I bet. All that preparation in the last few months, and then in your second race there, it's like, that must have sucked.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. Like we went from winning the race in the first race with a lot of action. We did we drew the qualification, so we started 10, and we worked our way back up to second, and then in the last couple restarts, then we've been exchanging position a lot at the front. And then there was a lot of robbing fenders as well. So I'm sure that it's going to be a good show on TV. And we ended up winning the race. So, I mean, it was awesome for my sponsor, WeatherTech and Benmar. So, I mean, the thing is, when we ended up for a second race, we drew second place. So that was pretty cool to start at front row. And I was really cautious at the beginning. I wanted to keep my tires underneath the car, making sure we have a good car for the end of the race. And then 30 laps in, the engine blew. So it's we never really had problem with our engine program. Actually, our engine program is very strong. But, when there's mechanical parts, sometimes things like that can happen. And then we'll open that engine and see what really happened there. But we went from winning the race to a DNF, which is bad for us, for a team, but we're still pumped for the rest of the season, and we know we can win. So it's a great deal.
Right. What was it like going to a track that you haven't been to a while? It's been a few years since you guys have been there.
Yeah, I mean, last time we went there was 2015 or 16, I think, and we were just starting our team, and the setup, we're not there yet very much, and we had a hard time those 2 years, 15 and 16, and we wanted to redeem ourselves, which is what we did. So it was kind of cool to go back there and then come back with a win.
And going into that weekend with new COVID restrictions and protocols, what was that like? And did you have to adjust that to your race plan?
Yes and no. It was different, but I think everybody was very respectful of wearing the mask, washing their hands, staying apart from each other, social distancing, and not taking any risks. And, there was monitoring for your temp in the morning and make sure you don't have any symptoms and all that. So I would say everything went really well for the protocols and all that. But it's more for the series to make sure that everybody does that. But I think everybody was really respectful of the situation, and it went very well for that. And
right, yeah, everyone was respectful up until the race started. As you mentioned a couple minutes ago, there was a lot of rubbing and bumping there. Take us through what were you thinking when you saw the 74 and the 3 tangle.
Well, I saw them tangling for a couple restarts before, so I knew there was a fair amount of animosity in between those two guys, and I was myself fighting with other guys as well. But I mean, it's one thing to move someone, and it's one thing to rob some fenders, but you will race each other for all those races during the season. Even if it's a short season, you're gonna see each other back in the next race. So, and on my end, I was hanging there and then fighting as well. And I got sideways a couple of times. I got loose. I almost spun because I got hit pretty hard. But we stayed on the plan, and we were there at the end of the race to win. And then that's the most important part of it.
Absolutely. And obviously, with all that trading paint, there wasn't any fans in the stands to have some sort of reaction. Did you notice any sort of weirdness at all, or what was it like getting out of your car and celebrating with your team but with no fans?
Oh yeah, I mean that's for sure. That's missing, and you don't have the crowd, just yelling and then cheering for you and seeing your friends, but actually seeing your sponsors being there is even it just brings you more emotions, and you want to win for your sponsors, your friends, your fans, you want to win for your team, and it's kind of quiet there. You have your team, but we had a second race right after, so we had to be prepped out to be ready. So yeah, no, it was that part for sure is different, and it's missing. But I know it's just a question of time that we'll all be back together.
Right, and going into Flamborough, you guys, I know this year there's not going to be a championship or anything like that. There's going to be a special recognition, I believe. Is that correct?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's not like the same kind of championship we're used to, and that's why I think this season everybody looks at it as we go race to race and try to win everything. So that's pretty much what we're looking at, and I want to keep WeatherTech up front, and that's very important for us. I mean, we're going to Flamborough. We try to go test there the next day, the last Sunday, just after the race on Saturday night, but we had the engine that blew the night before, so I was going to test Flamborough with my spare car, but it got rained out, so I couldn't test Flamborough. So I drove on it with my street car, and
nice. How was that?
Yeah, just it's going around and around.
Yeah,
and we'll just test it as we get in the weekend. There's not much testing in those weekends, but right now because of the situation, but it is what it is. We'll adjust to it.
This is the first time that the NASCAR Pinty Series is going to go to Flamborough.
It is the first time going to Flamborough, yeah.
And so you're going to be heading on to Hamilton in a couple of weeks. You got a couple of weeks to repair your cars and prep. What's going to be like for your team?
It's going to be busy. I mean, 2 weeks goes by like so quickly, especially that like now this weekend we had to change the engine and fix a lot of damage on the car because of that. First race was really there was a lot of action in the first race, so there's a lot of body work to do in the car as well, and get ready for setup wise to go to Flamborough, and we'll try to go test as well before Flamborough or after Flamborough. We'll try to go test at Jukasa, depends on the weather, so we can show at Jukasa in good shape.
Do you think, let's say the race goes really well at Flamborough, do you think that the Pinty Series or some other drivers would try to consider maybe keeping that on the schedule?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe the whole idea here is, I think the whole idea is to make sure we can have good racing, fair racing, clean racing, and at the same time giving a good show and make sure we can have sponsors around those events. And then, maybe we can go back there. But I've heard that that's going to be a pretty interesting type of racing. There's not really to groove that much, so I can't wait. Can't wait. It should be interesting.
Yeah, being able to follow these things through social media. Obviously, it wasn't broadcast live, but the races will be broadcast like a weekend or so after of the actual race. So that'll be obviously something very exciting to see the first time you guys going to Flamborough, and hopefully you have a good race, not like your second race there at Sunset.
Yeah, exactly.
So a couple more things here. So you're going to be looking into, at least until the end of September. Is there anything else during the next few months on the next off season in preparation for the next season, or is it too soon?
Oh, well, it's too soon for now, but for sure, once we're done with the season, we want to keep improving our equipment. We want to improve some stuff on the road course car, so we might end up going testing with the road course car as well, and before the snow kicks in. So we are more than ready for the next season when it arrives in next May. So April actually is when we do some testing after the winter, but it's always good to get some stuff done before the winter, so when you get in the winter you know that you know what to focus on.
Yeah, and for smaller teams as well, I think about them in these tough times, and I you guys might be able to have your sponsors and whatnot, and that's good that you're able to make them happy. And I just feel for some of the smaller teams, though, it's just, making your sponsors happy is one thing, right?
Oh, that's for sure. I mean, just thinking about my brother, he's doing a road course. Mainly, he's a road course driver, and sometimes because he does well on the road course, he can go on oval here and there with the road course program money sometimes. So it's tough for everybody, and even for younger driver that are trying to make it to the next step. And right now, it's very hard for them as well because there's sometimes they cannot get to their own track or own places where they can find the money to race at.
Right.
So that slows down their way to get to the next level, and go to up the ladder. So it's hard for everybody, that's for sure. And hopefully we can get back to close to normal as soon as possible.
All right. Hopefully that's the case. So again, thank you very much, LP, for giving me your time today. I really appreciate it. And make sure you all check out the Quick Wick 125. That'll air on TSN on Sunday at noon, and the Canadian Tire 125 will air on Saturday, August 29th at 2. Even though we know LP, how he did in those races, we'll still be cheering for him.
That's perfect. Thank you, guys.
Take it easy. Good luck. Take care.
Yeah, you too, guys.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was LP Dumoulin. I'd like to thank him for coming out and giving us some time and talking about the NASCAR Pinty Series season opener this past weekend, the weekend of August 15th. And it was a big weekend that weekend. Daytona saw a road course race for its 3 top Premier Series. And I think it should stay on the schedule in some way next year. They do have it planned out to be for the Bash or whatever. The Clash. Yeah, the Clash. The Bash.
I believe they're going to be the lights too. I hope so, at least.
So they're talking about that still. But there's also more talk about potentially having more races there during the year, just kind of like Charlotte Motor Speedway, how they have an all-star race and they also do a couple of races that have points involved. So hopefully Daytona will see that. There are drivers that they liked it. Everyone thought it was cool. It was really hot though, and even though they beat the heat, they had about an hour break, I think, about halfway through the race when the race was red flagged for lightning. So they did get some time to have a breather, and that's one of the problems with having a race in August, having a race also around hurricane season. It's going to be interesting to see when they come back in a couple weeks. There's a couple hurricanes brewing up in the Atlantic Ocean, so we're going to see what happens with that. And then on top of that, Jimmie Johnson, he revealed his Darlington Throwback scheme honoring Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty. It's quite an interesting looking car to see the sides black, kind of like Dale Earnhardt's car, and then the hood, the roof, and the rear is like Richard Petty's car with the Richard Petty blue and the STP stripe that goes in the middle of it. So that's going to be cool to see. And even though some of these races we're going to see, he's looking on the outside in the next couple of weeks. With 3 races remaining, he is currently 25 points below his teammate William Byron, and that's going to be interesting to see them two battle that out in the next couple of weeks, especially at Daytona. There's a lot of talk about him, and a lot of people want to say, hey, why don't you come back next year? This year was crappy to have your retirement year, but I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think he's going to still race part-time in NASCAR, and you read up a little bit on his involvement with the IndyCar series potentially next year.
Yes. Yeah, he talked to Dale Jr. on his podcast this week, saying that after that test he did back a few weeks ago at Indy on the road course there, that really made up a decision that next year he wants to do all 12 or 13 road course races. He doesn't know whether, what team it'll be on, what a sponsor.
They have 12 or 13 road course races in Indy?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but right now the big issue is finding sponsorship and funding, because it's hard to get marketing with the whole COVID situation and stuff like that. He said that he's had options with Chevy, but other manufacturers like Honda in that too. So it's still a lot of decisions to be made, but that's what he wants to do next year is 12 or 13 IndyCar road course races.
Yeah, I bet there's some stuff going on behind the scenes where something's going to happen where he's going to have some races in IndyCar next year. So he's probably focusing on that. He's transitioning his actual focus from NASCAR to IndyCar, and That's going to be interesting to see. Maybe potential doubleheaders next year with IndyCar and NASCAR. You might end up seeing those weekends being the weekends that Jimmie will do a NASCAR race. Well, he'll be racing a couple different series, which he can physically do in one weekend.
He said he would be down to come back to stock car racing for a few races next year too, like especially said Dover and Martinsville and stuff like that.
He's definitely going to have some work to do in the next couple weeks, and at Darlington, his teammates are also going to be racing a tribute. William Byron is racing his 2013 All-Star race paint scheme. Chase Elliott's running his 2009 paint scheme, and Bowman's the 2011 paint scheme, something like that. So it'll be a cool race to see, and obviously being a Jimmie Johnson fan, it'll be good to try to get that number 48 throwback scheme as a die cast. But yeah, so we're going to be looking into Dover this weekend, and they're going to be doing some additions or changes to the window so that the drivers can get some more heat. So we're going to see that.
More air?
Get less heat, more air. And there's going to be just a portion of the right side window removed. That's what they're saying, a portion. And the details were given out to teams on Wednesday. And it's going to be interesting to see how much they're going to open that up for the drivers. If, they're going to probably do it minimal, I think. It's going to be just enough, maybe not enough. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens this weekend when there's a doubleheader at Dover.
I think Chase is going to sweep it.
Maybe. We'll see. Who knows? We got some IMSA news. We are here with Mike, one of our new co-hosts here.
Yes. Thanks for having me, first of all. 2 weeks ago, July 31st, IMSA was at Road America, and it was a good race. It's always a good race at Road America. You know, everyone thought the Mazdas were going to run away with it because they've come into their own lately in a big way. Acura and Penske took pole there, which was nice to see because with them leaving, it's nice to hopefully they have a good fanfare. For them, the race was kind of a battle between the Acura and Mazda. And then with pit stops coming and going and people cycling through, the Cadillac of Wayne Taylor Racing got up to the front. And at that same time, in that same area, we had rain, which, as everyone knows, rain just kind of changes everything. Mm-hmm. And Wayne Taylor Racing got into the pits kind of at the perfect time to get wets on, while others stayed on slicks to see how long they could go. At that same time, there was a crash from one of the GTLM Porsches. I don't really know what happened. If you watch it, it's almost as if he hit the white line on the exit for the pit exit line, and it snapped right around, and he just went barreling into the sand trap there the gravel trap. So we had caution. The red flag followed real shortly after. It was just raining too hard, too much standing water. So that really changes up everything for them. And that was about 30 minutes to go. With 20 minutes left, they threw the yellow back out, and they went back out. Renger van de Zander and the Wayne Taylor Racing car, he was leading and then just ran wide coming out of the final turn and allowed Penske Acura, driven by Elio Castroneves, to go by, and there was about 4 minutes left, and they just couldn't catch up.
It's a pretty good show.
It was a good battle up front, but really the battle that was real interesting was in GTLM. With Corvette, they've won the last two races coming back from the break. They did their 100th victory in North America at Daytona, and then they did their 101 at Sebring, which was pretty amazing for them.
Wow.
In their new car too, because when they debuted it at Daytona for the Rolex, it didn't really do that well, but I mean that's to be expected in cars, new teething issues with new design cars, right? So that was a good battle, and kind of the same thing happened in GTLM as in prototype DPI. The guys that were out front pushed it a little bit longer on slick tires. It just didn't work out for them. Bamber was leading when he spun, and then that brought out the yellow and then to red flag. And then once we got back to racing, Nick Tandy was out front in the 911. He had to pit for rain tires and fuel, so that didn't really help him. John Edwards in the number 24 Rahal Letterman Lanigan BMW was leading, and all was good until the kink on the final lap. He got caught out by lap traffic and had a pretty hard hit there, and the number 3 of Jordan Taylor and Antonio Garcia went for 3 in a row there, that's amazing. Considering that it's a brand new car for this year, it
Right.
didn't do good at Daytona at all. Neither of them did. And then and with the ban, IMSA had no testing. So they weren't even allowed to go test the car. They were restricted on wind tunnel testing. To come back out and just do 3 in a row. Yes, they lucked into this one, but you have to be there, right? You have to be in position to win the race.
Yeah.
So it was good. Lexus dominated again. They've dominated since they came back, just like Corvette have. Those things are flying this year. Their balance of performance is good. I know it's a dreaded couple of words, or BOP. It's just the way it is right now.
And going into Virginia.
Virginia is this weekend, which is August 21st. And traditionally and still, it is a GT only weekend. There's no prototypes, no P1 or P2 cars there, just GTLM and GTD. All the 8 cars for GTD, the Porsches, Corvettes, BMWs, 6 cars, with no Ford this year, which kind of is unfortunate, but what do you do? The highest count for the year for GTD at 14 cars. So it's always a good race there. It's always an interesting race there. It's a nice natural terrain road course, and they battle well there.
I think that one's in iRacing as well.
Yes, I believe it is. Actually,
a good one.
Yeah, it is, and it still has the oak tree.
So that's always a good. I love driving that track.
Yeah, that one's it's a great track and it's beautiful. I mean, they take care of it really well since it's been brought back onto the circuit. It'd be nice to see. I think the Xfinity series have raced there. I'm not sure though.
It's definitely been a weird few months with this reschedule. They came up with another official, I guess, re-release of the schedule just a couple weeks ago. I believe that included Charlotte,
yes,
the Roval.
Yes, which will be awesome to see those cars. And again, and I think when the IMSA season, they have 2 events that are GT only. Usually Lime Rock, which is in Virginia, and VIR. So to replace Lime Rock this year, they're going to go run at the Oval, and it's just GTLM and GTD. It's the way the series likes to put those manufacturers at the forefront to be the headline for that weekend.
Right. That'll be exciting to talk about. I'm sure we'll have another episode with you in the meantime between now and that race. That's quite a ways away, so you'll probably be back.
Hopefully.
Hey, man, it's always good to have you. Obviously, it's our first time, so it's going to be pretty good. Looking forward to your contribution to the Wide World of Motorsports, and welcome to the team, man.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. This is great, and I just love talking racing. So
check out Michael Wallace on Facebook.
Yeah, thank you. See you guys later.
And make sure you check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube at the THEWWOMS. Head on over to Facebook, like the Wide World of Motorsports group. Chat with us there. Not only that, check out this episode and other episodes on demand at YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Also, check out our new series, the Wide World of Motorsports esports team on iRacing, where weekly we go into some of the best iRacing leagues and we take on some chumps in the official lobbies. If you like what you heard in this episode, drop us a line at our email at thewideworldofmotorsports@gmail.com. That just about wraps it up for this edition of the Wide World of Motorsports podcast. And always remember, the only race that truly matters is the race on the track.
Hi, this is Alex Tagliani, NASCAR Pinty Series driver. You're tuned in from the track to the community on Wide World of Motorsports, the #1 motorsport show in the community.
Hey there, thank you for watching our video. Make sure you head on over to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at the THEWWOMS.